We found 135 this year that had voted. We found another 400 that were registered but hadn't yet voted.
Chinese student is going to be facing criminal charges for voting in Michigan. Oh, you're kidding. I need to get that ballot back because I thought I could, but I can't. He calls them, hey, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. I think I voted for Trump in an upcoming election. Oh, you did? Well, now we're going to charge you with the crime because you voted for the wrong person. You should have voted for Kamala and we would have let you go. The Michigan Department of State, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, seen here, is now being asked about the Dominion voting systems and about how there is a voter programming situation that cannot be fixed this election. In fact, it will be corrected for future elections. And here's how it works. So it involves this voter assist terminal. It's a device that helps voters with disabilities and others may use to assist them in marking their ballot. And apparently it's limited to this machine. It prints the ballot and then puts it through the tabulator. Now, the Bureau of Elections in Michigan has identified an issue in the way that Dominion programmed the ICX VATs for the general election. So Dominion programmed the systems wrong. Voters in counties using a Dominion VAT to mark their ballot will have to select either the quote straight party option if they wish to vote straight party, or vote for each race on the partisan section of the ballot if they wish to split their ticket. Now, while this is the process used in some other states, it is not the standard in Michigan, where voters have the option to vote straight party, but then override their party selection for individual races. So it sounds like it's just like, you know, when you fill out a form on the internet and you have to click certain boxes, like you try to do it and it doesn't work. If a voter using a Dominion VAT system votes straight party, but then splits their ticket, so they click, yeah, straight party, all Republicans, but then split their ticket, they're going to get an error message. The voters then are going to go back, deselect the straight party selection, then vote for candidates individually or vote straight party without actually splitting the ticket. Now, it's not possible to fix the programming for the VATs this close to the election, although this issue will not stop people from voting or making their preferred selections. And although it will not change anyone's votes, it will make the process more inconvenient for some voters using the system. The Bureau of Elections is providing education materials to address this. The issue will be corrected in future elections. And so the list of counties using these systems are everywhere. And apparently this is kind of what it looks like. So it may only be impacting a small number of voters on this system, but our concerns, of course, with these errors are, is it limited to this? We always have questions about, well, if this is wrong, if you couldn't program the machines correctly for this, how thorough was your accuracy, your logic accuracy testing, and your validation of the software, in other words, as well? So we got questions about it. Now, Jocelyn Benson got asked about this. She held a press briefing today, and here's what that sounded like.
People to vote early. Long lines the first day of early voting, which I saw personally every single early voting site I went to, in Ann Arbor, in Pontiac, in Flint, and in Grand Rapids yesterday. All throughout the day were really almost celebratory lines. There were people who were so excited to cast their ballot.
Just a quick follow-up. Do you expect the lines to be shorter in the subsequent days of early voting?
We'll see. I mean, yes, we saw 145,000 people participated on Saturday. 105,000 citizens voted on Sunday. So we may see a dip throughout the week. We may see an uptick again next weekend.
Okay, so here's the question about Dominion. What's going on with the Dominion VATs? Why has that only been caught in the last few days, and why can't that be fixed right now?
Yeah, this is a nationwide issue with Dominion voter access terminals in the counties that use them. And the voter access terminals, of course, not all the machines, just the ones that are accessible, have an issue with the straight party voting and a programming issue that's, again, affected the machines nationwide. And I think all of us that use Dominion machines were unhappy to learn about this during the testing period and as early voting began. So we're working with Dominion to seek accountability on that front, and also are working with our clerks to ensure voters are aware of this programming issue that will require them to ensure they are voting every section on the ballot.
Do you think it's a bigger issue in Michigan because we do allow voters to cross over in ways that a lot of other states don't?
Because we have straight party. It's not struck me, as I've talked to my other colleagues in other states, they're just as upset about it as we are. So, yeah.
Online question.
I know you addressed the Warren clerk just a minute ago, but are there other municipalities that you are aware of where they are not doing the pre-processing of the absentee ballots?
No.
All right, so she takes questions from the media. The big clip that is catching a lot of attention is the one I just shared with you. She's now revealing to us that there are Dominion problems. They have it on their website that there is a programming problem only for that limited system, allegedly, right now. And we have to take their word for it that everything else is good. But nothing else is being reported from them. And the media seemingly just had one question on that. But apparently, it's a national problem. Now, this fella, his name is Matthew S. DePerno. He's over on X at MDE Perno. And he posted this this today. Very interesting one that caught Laura Trump's attention over at the RNC. She responded saying they're looking into this. But here is what he shared with us. He says, after reviewing the qualified voter file from Jocelyn, Benson's Michigan, of the votes actually cast as of yesterday, on October 29th, the database identifies 114,545 Michigan voters who have cast 279,000 ballots. 114,000 Michigan voters have cast 279,000 ballots. That means that there are 164,000 excess ballots as of 10/29. Below is one voter ID that you can see. Okay, so he apparently is pulling the full files, and here's what he's identified. So you see this column says voter ID. All of these column numbers are the same. 159-607-018 all the way down the bottom. So that's presumably one voter ID. Think of it like a driver's license number. It identifies who you are. So here's one address that this voter registered for, and you might say, okay, well, you might have one voter ID with a history of addresses, but not all with lists getting ballots and having votes recorded. You see here, all in Detroit City, Wayne County, zip codes have changed, multiple different addresses, but it's all the same voter ID. Good. So he's just pulling public files, right? Public data, and doing data analysis on it and looking into it. Then we have Rasmussen Reports also looking in on this. They say Michigan, one voter ID with 29 separate votes. Is this real? So they anonymize you. We don't know who this person is, but there is a voter ID. All the same. Just download the file, sort, look for multiple votes. Are there more than this? Probably. So Laura Trump came in, and James Blair from Trump's team, he's the political director of Trump 2024, said they reached out to this fella. They're trying to figure this out. Says, our team is in touch with this guy. We're reviewing his observations and will take any action necessary after a thorough review. So they're on it. Laura Trump is as well. She says, our election integrity team received reports of thousands of duplicate ballots in Michigan. We immediately investigated and confirmed that it was a glitch in the system, and these duplicate ballots were not and will not be counted. Okay, so it's just like a reporting error. We immediately investigated, we're on it, and we're protecting the vote. Don't panic, is what she's telling us. But you can see people are identifying strange things in the numbers, and this is good. I think this is awesome. Now, similarly, we've also heard from Jocelyn Benson that there are not illegal people voting in American elections, especially in Michigan. In fact, remember when she said this back during a House committee hearing?
There's no evidence that non-citizens are voting. If they were, it would be easy to prove since voting records are public, and despite numerous organizations spending a lot of money to try to convince people that non-citizens are voting, none of these groups have actually been able to provide any evidence of it.
I'll save you time and just say I agree, sir.
Mr. LaRose, I'm going to let you follow up on the statement from Ms. Benson.
We found 135 this year that had voted. We found another 400 that were registered but hadn't yet voted.
Okay, so sorry, Jocelyn. He's right. You're wrong. Here's a story from the Detroit News. Says Chinese student is going to be facing criminal charges for voting in Michigan. Oh, you're kidding. From Ann Arbor, a University of Michigan student who is from China and not a citizen allegedly voted on Sunday and is being charged with 2 crimes. The filing of the charges was revealed Wednesday in a statement from the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson's office. She's like, dang it. The press release didn't identify the student, but described him only as a non-U.S. citizen. 19-year-old from China was legally present, but not a citizen, meaning he couldn't vote. He registered to vote on Sunday using his college ID and other documents he used to establish residency, and all of their systems didn't work. He signed a document identifying himself as a citizen. His ballot was entered into a tabulator, according to her office. The ballot was cast at an early voting system site. Later, the voter contacted the clerk asking if he could get his ballot back. That's interesting. He contacted, so I wonder if they wouldn't have caught him if he didn't contact them. He's like, oh crap, it's illegal? So he contacts them, and then they bust him. The student's ballot is expected to count in the upcoming election, although it was illegally cast because there was no way for election officials to retrieve it once it's been put through the tabulator. The Chinese are interfering with Michigan's election. Jocelyn allowed it to happen. According to 2 sources familiar with Michigan election laws, his vote's going to count. The setup is meant to prevent ballots from being tracked back to an individual voter. We're grateful for the swift action of the clerk in this case, who took the appropriate steps and referred the case to law enforcement. Okay, so that's exactly what happened. So this is crazy. I might have some sympathies for this guy. Like, what if this guy doesn't know? What if he went back and he's like, hey, oh my gosh, I just voted. He calls them. I was listening to Jocelyn Benson and I thought I understood the rules. We're suing people all over the place. He's like, I thought I could vote because I got a ballot. Then I went and I told somebody, yeah, I just voted for Trump. And they said, you voted for Trump? He went and told his friend, and they said, you can't do that. They said, you're a non-citizen. You can't vote. He goes, oh my gosh, really? They gave me a form and everything. I thought I could do it. He says, okay, let me go try to get that ballot back. I need to get that ballot back because I thought I could, but I can't. He calls them, hey, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. I think I voted for Trump in an upcoming election. Oh, you did? Well, now we're going to charge you with the crime because you voted for the wrong person. You should have voted for Kamala and we would have let you go. I can absolutely see this happening. And he really didn't know any better. They say, we're grateful for the swift action of the clerk in this case. We're also grateful to law enforcement for investigating this guy. Anyone who attempts to vote illegally faces significant consequences. Why'd you let him register and get a ballot? How come that happened? Including but not limited to arrest and prosecution. Benson, Jocelyn, and Save It are both Democrats. I would bet this person voted for Trump or said something like that. They busted him. The person is being charged with perjury, making a false statement on an affidavit, and being an unauthorized elector who attempted to vote. Allegation is a felony. A police detective gave a swear-to on law enforcement. As of Wednesday, the student had not been arraigned. The student's being represented by legal services from the university. In a message to the city council members obtained by Detroit, they said there's been an instance of potential voter fraud in Ann Arbor. Through a series of actions, the student was apparently able to register, was able to receive a ballot, and was able to cast a vote. And then only got caught, probably because he went and outed himself. Based upon the scenario that we're hearing this morning, this student was fully aware of what he was doing and that it was not legal. He then acknowledged in an email the story might get picked up by national media. Under a 2018 ballot proposal, people can register to vote on election day. Proof of residency is a driver's license or a utility bill. It's incredible that someone has to prove their citizenship to get on a plane, but not to register. Now that vote is going to count and it can't even be rescinded. That's a mismatch. It is. A vote should absolutely not count, obviously, even if it was for Trump. With 9 days of early in-person voting occurring, Hubbard said, there's a lot of pressure on campus for students to vote right now. So she's going to prosecute this dude rather than the millions of illegals they brought in, and said, well, you kind of have legal status. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, the state top law enforcement official, said her office launched a parallel investigation into this. All right. So now they're going to go prosecute the people that they allow to register to vote. Insane. All right. So that's what's happening in Michigan. And of course, they're going to continue to do what they can to sell the public on their election, telling us everything is free and fair and fine, even though we know people like Jocelyn hang out with Hillary Clinton. They call Trump a danger to democracy, and they're working overtime to stop him from winning, even as they're supposed to be fair and impartial and just the counters of the votes. Let's just have free and fair elections. But how can anything be free and fair when you have partisan Democrat operatives like Jocelyn, Adrian Fontes, Jenna Griswold, and many, many more? We're going to be here continuing to cover this, my friends. Thanks for getting your votes in, and we'll see you back here on the next one.